Hi, everybody. This is Kathy L. Murphy, the Pulpwood Queen, and I am here live at the Holly Lake Boarding Center, which is just down the road from me because it has great internet. And our next speaker is Jamie Ford. Not sure what's happening. He's up in Montana. It could be because the temperature has dropped to below zero and they're getting a lot of storms. I know it's supposed to hit here Sunday night. I think we're supposed to go to somewhere below 10 below. In Kansas right now, it's supposed to go to 20 below. So there's lots of glitches anytime you do a live event. So if Jamie doesn't come on board, I'll try to reach him on the lunch hour and see where I can scrunch him back in. If not, I'll set up a special meeting with him. But his book is The Many Daughters of Afong Moy. If you go to his Facebook page, he's got lots of videos where he's talking about the book. It has taken him into superstardom. He was on the Today Show, and Jenna Bush, our president's daughter, who's on that show, picked it and bought the film rights to make it into a movie. I certainly hope it gets done. The Hotel of Bitter and Sweet, which was the first book I ever picked by him, and it won our Book of the Year. It went to film, and it was completely finished and getting ready to go to film talk, getting ready to go to distribution when the director died. And then that was put on the shelf. And I know George Takei from the Star Trek series, picked it up. And I don't know where it went on to be a stage play. And it was playing out in Washington State in different places. But Jamie and I, have talked a lot about our film deals because my book it's been many years ago, went to be purchased. Well, it kind of went into a little bit of a bidding war it was being pitched in Los Angeles. And when the screenwriter who wrote the script called me and she said, "Well, you ready to see who bought your film?" I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Are you sitting down?" And I go, "No, I'm standing in my kitchen. Who bought it?" And I'm thinking one of the women's channels, the Hallmark or whatever. And she goes, "Well, I hope you're sitting down because it was just purchased, the option by DreamWorks." And I go, "Steven Spielberg's DreamWorks?" And I literally buckled to the floor. Now, let me tell you a little something about options. There's many options that get purchased and the films never get made. Well, took forever. They were trying to find a big star and they went to all kinds of different people. Nobody was interested. The script was done. So DreamWorks then turned around and sold out to Universal Canada. And they decided that instead of doing a low budget film like mine for 20 or 30 million, they're only going to do 300 million. So they decided they weren't going to make my movie, but they would let the screenwriter pitch it. So the the producer who got on board, Lynn Harris, said, "Listen, maybe we can talk." Well, I went out to Los Angeles and met with her, with my best friend from Kansas. And she said, "I think we're going to have to start over." So I think the best bet for your story is to go to a streaming service like Netflix, Amazon. So she goes, "Let's pitch it there." Well, guess what happened next? COVID. My option is completely over. I'm a free agent again. If it ever gets made, it would be a miracle. But I can always say that DreamWorks bought my option, so that's a pretty big deal for a little kid from Kansas to have happen. And I'm working on the sequel. It's going to be, I changed the title to Kathy L. Murphy Goes Back to School, because I did. I've gone back to college and I've had to make a lot of changes in my life. My friend from Prague, who cannot be here, author Christopher Cook, because it's like in the middle of the night when he was supposed to be here. He told me, he goes, "You're always the phoenix arising from the ashes, Kathy." And I said, I am, because I never give up. I don't give up on my authors. I don't give up on anything that I do. Even though I'm closing the chapter on the Pulpwood Queens this year, I'm going to continue on promoting authors' books, literacy, and reading in a new, unique way. So at the end of this weekend, I'll be telling you a little bit more about it. Not much, because I'm still working on the game plan, but it will involve promoting your books. So please, if you know of anybody who wants to be a selection of mine, of the Kathy L. Murphy mine, um, tell them to contact me and send me the book, because I'm already reading for 2025. And that's hopefully when my next book will come out. And hopefully, I don't know if I'll do a live convention because of the situation with Zoom. It's complicated now that it's gone all AI. And Jeffrey's doing a panel on it. So I hope everybody can come and join that conversation. But back to Jamie. Jamie is one of the best speakers I've ever heard in my life. He writes books that make me cry, make me understand what it's like being of Asian mixed heritage. His mother is white, but American, but his father was Asian. And he had a unique situation when he was invited to Dallas to speak at one of the most prestigious schools in Highland Park, where a group of kids stood up and started heckling, "Go back home where you come from." And I saw it. The Dallas Morning News ran a story about it, and I am appalled that anybody that was born and raised in the United States would be told they need to go back to the country they came from, because I'm not so sure where I came from. I'm such a mixed mutt. The whole thing about my book club has always been letting the authors share their stories, because when we hear the story from them and where they come from and their background. And I remember when Debbie Rodriguez came the first time, there were a lot of people that didn't understand why she went to Afghanistan and why she started this beauty school. And they really didn't feel good about it. Then she came and she spoke to my book club, and her book was voted book of the year. And it's because she engaged with the authors. And I am a firm believer that if you want to truly understand a book, you can't just read it. You need to be in conversation with others, and you need to bring an author into the conversation. That's why all of you are here. And I know Kim Davis understands this. She's a publisher with Madville Publishing. I know a lot of you are self-published and published by big name publishers, but we're all on the same playing field wherever you come from now, whether you self-publish, whether you're with a big house. But the more we can work together. Somebody told me a story a long time ago about a little fish in the ocean, and little fishes that swim in the ocean get eaten by the big sharks. But one day the little fish got smart, and they all pulled together, and they made the biggest drone image of the biggest shark they'd ever seen in their life swimming in a school together. And no longer did the sharks bother them. And that's what has always happened with the Pulpwood Queens and the Timber Guys. If we all join together with our readership and with our authors, people will pay attention. And we've just had too many authors' books go to the New York Times bestselling list. And I'm not taking credit for it, but I will tell you that when I went into the Simon and Schuster publishing booth at Book Expo, that was the last time I was in New York with my Pulpwood Queens. I had an editor saw me and she said, "You're the Pulpwood Queen, right?" And I said, "Yes." And she goes, "Can I give you a hug?" She goes, "I'm the editor of Jeanette Wall's The Glass Castle, and you personally made that book a New York Times bestseller. And now we've got the movie and everything. And Jeanette's on our list this year. She couldn't be here, but she's definitely on the list. And I'm a firm believer in, too, when you pick an author's book, you invest in that author and all of the books they read. That's why Janice Sacken, she sent me a book and she couldn't come one year, and now she's written 2 more in that series. Well, I made all 3 of them bonus books because in order to understand my authors, you need to see the trajectory of their writing. So I invest in all of you, and I thank you. Thank you for 24 years invested in me, but I'm not over. They always say it's not over till the fat girl sings. Well, I'm no longer fat, but I do like to sing. So I'm holding off for now until I figure out this next coming year, which will be 25 years promoting authors, books, and literacy. But I've done it my whole adult life, from my first salon, Town and Country headquarters, to my beloved Beauty in the Book, which was a hair salon bookstore. And I will continue to do so. So now I want to open the conversation to each of you. If you have a testimony or if you have a question, I speak up, because we're going until 11:45, and then we're breaking for lunch.
Kathy,
So,
Kathy, if I may, I wanted to follow up on your film option story. A friend of mine from high school.
Hang on 1 second. Jamie Ford's here. Hang on. I'll be right back.
Great.
Well, while she's doing that, when the first book came out, The Hotel in the Corner, Bitter and Sweet, the actual hotel is in Seattle, and you can go there and see the tours. The thing that was inspiring about that book is that they were doing some major renovations in the international district in Seattle, and they discovered these suitcases down the basement. I remember when it was on TV. And that sort of inspired that book about who were these people. Well, they were internees being taken away off to internment camps. And that's sort of how the story came about. I met him in person at a writers' conference on Whidbey Island. It's a big island. It's just next to Seattle. And since then, I keep running into him. But the best one was going to the Pulpwood Queens, because that was my first time in Nacogdoches, flying from Seattle to Houston, and then renting a car to go to Nacogdoches and just hanging out with him. That was just really amazing. He's very funny. He's funny. And was at Fish Trap, which is a wonderful place for authors to apply for. I call it Camp with Pencils, because you have classes all week, but you're at a camp that's in this little tiny town in Eastern Oregon. And he was there the whole week. I studied with another amazing author, but he kept coming over to our cabin to borrow sugar. We didn't know what was going on in his cabin, but he's so much fun, and his kids were there. It was just amazing. But the last time I saw him, he brought his book up here to Bellingham, Washington. We have an amazing independent bookstore, and he was host, and I got to sit and watch him on this radio show, which I'll put the link in. But I sat with his wife, Lisa. It was just a heck of a lot of fun.
My father-in-law is Japanese and was interned, and he's 101 years old. He's from the Seattle area. And he went, Jamie was looking for people to be able to tell their story when he was in the middle of the movie part of things. And so my father-in-law I put his name in because he's 101. This was probably when he was maybe 98, but his mind is full. And so he was like 18, 17, something like that when they were interned. And so he has a good memory, right? Like, he has not lost 1 ounce of his memory and his wit and be able to tell a story. So I was really pleased that he was able to go and have a conversation with I don't know if it was the producer or the director, but I told my sister-in-law, you need to take him because the story needs to be told. And the people who were interned, that was a pretty tough gig.
Where did he go? Where was he sent?
He was in originally they put him in the Puyallup Fairgrounds.
That's right.
And then I think after a little bit of time, he was put into, I think, Idaho. But the great thing was that his family they had a farm. And so they were able to sign the farm to some Filipinos, and the Filipinos held their land and their house and their belongings, it's really a horrific part of our history in the United States. But
I sing in a chorale.
yeah,
I sing in a chorale. So we put together there was a woman from Yakima, Washington, which is Eastern Washington. She was sent to Heart Mountain. And so my chorale sang a piece called Heart Mountain Suite, and I could put it in there. Kari Kondo was just kept a journal, and it's these amazing stories. The people that stayed, her husband went off and fought in Europe. That story absolutely has to be told. You cannot. And what's really a shame is that book banding has been banning books about internment. I have a friend who writes YA, and she's written about a dog from Seattle. The owner was sent to an internment camp, I think in Idaho, and her next door neighbor, white neighbors, took care of her dog. And I'll have to remember the title again. But so she based the story, I think, for the Young American series. It's been banned in Florida. And it's because it's about the dog and the owner being Japanese. And, we've got to be able to say, stop. I always say, I'm a historian, I write historical fiction. I always say history hurts, but you have to tell the story because it's in our DNA as an American. My family has been here since 1638. And, it's in our DNA, and we have to tell the story, no matter how painful it is, because you can't wash it away.
There was an interesting op-ed yesterday, and it said that one district in Florida has now banned Webster's Dictionary and 2 versions of Bibles written for children. I mean, it's really insane. I live in Texas, if y'all don't know, and we're banning books like crazy down here. I went to a meeting of people who are running for a local school board here. And I just asked how many of them were in favor of book banning, and all but 2 raised their hands. I don't know how this ends or how we stop this, but I think as authors, we need to talk about it and find ways to protest because this is just insane.
Catherine, I shared that post yesterday. It came from PEN America.
Yeah.
And the governor of Florida has banned Webster's dictionaries and 1,600 other books. And as authors and publishers, it's time to speak out because this is the dumbing down of America. If you can't, how many of you were told as a child when you asked your teacher, how do you spell that? They say, go look it up in the dictionary, right? What if you don't have one? And it's banned in your school. This is ridiculous. When I was back in my book selling days, I did a window display where I would sign up banned book readers of individuals to read to children in the window for the whole time of banned book week. And every teacher in Longview, Texas used to come and sign up and our clients and bring kids, and I'd sit them all in the window and people would watch them read out loud, and they'd read everything from Little House on the Prairie, which was banned in North Dakota because they called Ma out in the book because she said, I'm scared, Pa. I think there's going to be Indians. Well, we can't rewrite history, people. My own ancestors were afraid of Indians, which, you know, but the fact of the matter is they've never been treated fairly in this country ever. They were the first ones here. We need to read the books, share the stories, and we don't need to censor. Anybody else have a comment?
This doesn't have anything to do with Jamie, but I remember when Jamie was co-hosting and emceeing your earlier
Yeah,
Pulpwood Queen festivals, and he was so much fun. I just thought he could be on television, and he has been.
he's so funny in person. Yeah.
He really is. Well, what I wanted to say just very briefly is um, my new novel is coming out in August from Madville Publishing, thanks to Kim Davis,
That's
The
right.
Majestic Leo Marble. But I was telling, this is regarding banned books. I was telling a retired librarian friend in Louisiana what the plot was. Basically, a semi-autobiographical coming of age tale. And she said, with tongue in cheek, so that sounds like that might be banned in Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
That's just not a good thing for us as writers and literary people and as Americans to have to worry about. And I have never ever worried about that growing up. I couldn't wait to read as a teenager To Kill a Mockingbird, and that changed
Absolutely.
my whole view of what was going on in the Deep South. And we have to, as someone said, we have to tell our stories, and those stories have to be available. We can make up our own minds. We don't need politicians to make them for us.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Robert. Thank you so very much. I'm proud of picking your book.
Thank you.
And I'm actually every book that I pick is, I don't censor anything, and I've been censored myself. I've been kicked out of my own book clubs for picking books by Julie Cantrell. I was actually banned from leading my youth group because I used her book for Sunday school and my youth group. And my minister was gone, who I got the approval, and an interim pastor was in. And a person from the church said this book is not suitable for junior high school kids. And I said, well, I beg to differ. And so they took me off my own youth group. It happened. Now, when my minister came back, she reinstated me, but the damage was done. I was kicked off of a book club in Louisiana because I picked a Cassandra King book called The Sunday Wife, about a minister's wife who befriends a gay couple. I was kicked off of a book festival in Florida because I was told I could do a panel with my authors, and I had invited Robert Lalou, who was my co-host for Girlfriend Weekend for years, and he wrote the Beautiful Boy memoir, and I was disinvited. So I know what it's like, and these are some of the nicest, most wonderful authors in the country. And Julie Cantrell went on to win that year the Christie Award for the best new novelist and best book of the year. And she is, every year she wins awards for her books. And I made the church put that in the church newsletter because I said, well, the book you deemed inappropriate for me to use for my Sunday school class just won the Christian Book of the Year. So, you have to speak up. You have to stand your ground. Debbie Rodriguez has proven that, you can make a difference in people's lives, and all of you are, by telling your stories. And I am here to tell you that if there's anything any of my authors need me to do, I am there. I mean, as long as it's humanly possible, but, I will do everything I can because I stand by your stories. So, you guys, Jamie and I couldn't connect on his call. I have the feeling something must be going on with the weather. I'll try to get him over lunchtime, but we've got a break. So we'll be back. Oh my gosh, you guys, we're going to be back this afternoon with Adriana Trigiani, who's coming in from New York. And she's really sad about me having this the last girlfriend weekend. But if you heard her speech last year, wait till you hear it this year. So we'll see you. Come in a little early. She starts at 1 o'clock. And so get some sustenance, have some coffee, and we're in it for the long haul. So this afternoon, okay? Thank you for coming.
Kathy.
I love y'all. Okay.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.